Your answer here. The first horse since 1882 to win despite not racing as a 2-year-old. Who was president of This Is America, the United States, in 1882? Israel, go.
Man, you're going to put me on the spot like this, having not seen the Derby, having not thought about this for 1 second. Who was president in 1882? I'm going to go with Frank. It's your turn.
Coolidge. That would be the president. This is what I loved about Justify. You knew he won the race because all the other horses were covered in mud. He was spotless. That meant he was out in front the entire race. Plus, his father was also a mudder. That's an Abbott and Costello thing for you.
You're about 40 years old with Coolidge. I thought you were so cool when you were in. Chester Allen Arthur was the president.
I was close.
And the win was sloppy. We move on. 3,000 hits for Albert Pujols. The combined no-hitter for the Dodgers. Love the LA Times section here. They split it up. 3,000 hits has happened 32 times. A combined no-hitter has happened 12. Legit question here, Frank. Which one is the more exciting one to have seen live, you think?
Well, I've seen Darryl Kyle throw a no-hitter by himself. A combined no-hitter, I'm not going with that. I'd rather be there watching Albert Pujols in Seattle get 3,000 hits.
I'd be fine if it was Clayton Kershaw throwing a no-hitter. Nobody knows who this combined is, and I don't care that he threw a no-hitter. I'd rather watch history. Albert Pujols, 3,000 hits. You knew it was on the verge. It happened. You were there. Great stuff.
Israel Gutierrez. You got in the photo, and now you're in the FaceTime.
That, by the way, what I was doing while the Derby was on was preparing to get in that photo. But here, since I'm already on the LeBron is the greatest of all time train, and come on, bring on the haters, there was this great story by Brian Windhorst on ESPN.com that noted that LeBron, during the season, ran a pace of 3.85 miles per hour, which put him in the bottom 10 of any player that played 20 minutes or more. That's the worst, close to the worst in the league. And in the playoffs, he's even slower. How? He's just buying his time, picking his spots, playing smart. He doesn't even have Kyrie Irving on there to take over the game at times, and yet he's still finding his time to rest. Man, there's a reason this guy's the greatest of all time. He plans these things out.
Now we've got, another notch there for greatest of all time because he doesn't run that much.
He can't be Justified. Justify's the greatest of all time.
We'll see you tomorrow, 23.5-hour break.
Waiting to see how the Raptors embarrass themselves in Game 4 to exit stage sweep. LeBron is very possibly having the best series of any basketball player ever, while the top-seeded Raptors are now the Washington Generals. Tone, isn't LeBron's shot to win Game 3, the one-hand floater off glass, moving left at the buzzer, going down in history as an iconic shot?
Iconic is a very special word, and my answer would be no.
What?
Mike, it won Game 3 in a second-round series. If something is iconic, I believe it has to clinch something. Or it has to be so otherworldly that you've never seen it before. And we have seen LeBron do great things
and
before.
win series.
LeBron now has 5 buzzer beaters in the playoffs. Michael Jordan only had 3. I'm just suggesting there's something there.
So if Jordan hit the shot that won the series with 10 seconds left, it's not valid? But that's stupid. This is an iconic shot. And I know what you're saying, and I basically agree with you about give me some Game 5s and Game 7s in there, 6 or 7.
Yes.
But, Tony, it's the movement. I know LeBron likes to go left, but he's going left. Hey, what else is noticeable? And what else is not iconic? It's not iconic that Toronto is so stupid that they still can't figure out. You have to have 2 people. I know you can't chase them for 94 feet, but you got to have somebody at the midcourt line. You have to put 2 people on LeBron in attack position, and they didn't do it.
Do they have a coach?
But the shot.
Is Dwayne Casey their coach?
He's been a good coach in the regular season.
But how do you let him go to the side he wants to go to?
Or if the players aren't lilistening, which is what I tell you about Boston, you still got to have players who listen and do what they're supposed to do.
Did I have this series right at the beginning? Yes. I said you bet on LeBron. I said that he would beat Toronto because Toronto can't hurt you. All they got is guards. And you talked about Toronto's bench. And you know who was on the bench for the whole fourth quarter?
DeMar, you're right.
Because
it makes the bench really potent.
Right. So
what are they doing?
Stop. I can't talk about it.
You know the exchange that was great was when Dwayne Casey says, we're not that team.
Yes, you are.
And
you are that team.
On and says,
no, you are that team.
Who are you? Yeah. If you're not that team, you're that team.
LeBron is one step closer to another final, which is great for the NBA because the average American person likes to see him.
You got LeBron beating Boston for sure?
He's one step closer.
Beating Boston?
Did I say one step closer? Well, you've knocked him out twice already, and he's still living.
Nope.
Well, the big game tonight in sports is in Pittsburgh.
Is it?
Where the Washington Capitals will try to close out the Penguins and get to the conference final for the first time in Alexander Ovechkin's career. If there is a Game 7, it will be right here, boys and girls, in Washington, D.C., where the Caps are only 3-7 in Game 7s in the last 10 years. Do the Caps need to win this thing tonight?
No. It'd be nice if they did. I mean, they're going to have less pressure tonight, certainly. They're out there with a little bit of house money tonight. And you mentioned Game 7s. We have sat for those Game 7s in the building,
repeatedly.
And some of them have been just pitiful.
Repeatedly.
So I know they don't want to get there, Tony, but that's why you play in the regular season so you can get Game 7 at home against a defending champion.
What if it does you no good to have Game 7?
Well, you got to have it do you some good. Alexander Ovechkin has been better in these playoffs than I think he's ever been.
I agree with you.
And so I don't feel exactly the same way about the Caps, but I feel this is going to 7, don't you?
That would be problematic for the Capitals. I'm going to tell you why. Because, again, we've been in that building. If the opposing team scores first, that building turns into a library.
It does, man.
It is silent. And do you know why? Because down deep, Caps fans think they're going to lose.
Yeah.
They are terrified that they are going to lose. There are some statistics here that are
they get their best defensive forward back in Game 7.
In
if it
Game
goes that
7,
far,
but
he'll take himself out with a stupid penalty.
Is it still here?
Yeah.
The Caps are 1-9 all time versus Pittsburgh in potential series closeout games. 1-9 all time. This is better. The Caps are 0-6 in games that could get them to the conference final since the last time they went in 1998, and they've been outscored 18-8 in those particular games. So I am saying to you, and I do
win. They got to win tonight.
I think they do, and I think they will. I think they will.
I think they don't, and I think they won't. I think they'll come back home for Game 7, and we'll see how it goes. And Oshie, instead of getting in the fights, he might want to make another play like he did with the steal in his own zone and the shot into the empty net that was spectacular. You're just wishing. You don't believe the Caps are going to win tonight. You don't believe that.
I believe.
No, you don't.
I believe. I believe I can fly.
He doesn't. He don't believe. The Vegas Golden Knights
and my team
are in the Western Conference Finals of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Marc-Andre Fleury shut out the Sharks to get there, 3-0. Fleury is the closest thing the Knights have to a big-time star. Tony, this is your team. Name the leading scorer. You can't do it.
Wild Bill Carlson.
Somebody just whispered in your ear. Name the head coach.
Gerard Gallant or Gallant.
Gallant. At least I know you know the GM and architect of this outfit. We both know George McPhee.
George McPhee.
Tony, should this be a bigger story nationally than it is?
I'm going to get to that in a second. The mooning was of a helicopter. Okay, when McMahon did that. And it was a Buddy DiLiberti. I think I have
You have to bring his name.
So what are you asking me about now? You're asking me about the Vegas Knights?
I'm asking you about the Vegas Golden Knights.
Okay.
Bigger story nationally?
First of all, it's a hockey story, and hockey is the fourth sport, by far, of the top four sports. Right. And then it's a sort of nuanced expansion story that not everybody understands.
Wait a minute. What's nuance? You're a new team. You got great colors. You play in a place where people like to go at least hang out for the weekend.
Here's the nuance.
Everybody knows Vegas.
The nuance is that in every other expansion draft that we've ever seen in any sport, teams weren't stocked with this many good players. So what this suggests is this, that in hockey, underneath your top line players, there are a lot of people good enough that if you give them enough time, they're going to seem like top-line players.
Well, the established teams
the nuance is
what?
The nuance is how many people were you allowed to protect? Probably they weren't allowed to protect enough people, and we will never see this again
but
in any
McPhee
sport.
made deals. He made 10 trades before they even got to that point.
He's very good. Then why'd your team fire him? Why'd your boys fire him?
You mean the team you say is going to win tonight?
Why did your boys fire him?
Yeah.
What about another one of your boys, Ben Roethlisberger?
I love Ben.
Doesn't appear to want to help Mason Rudolph, his new quarterback teammate on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Here's what Roethlisberger said on 93.7 The Fan the other day. Quote, I was surprised when they took a quarterback because I thought that maybe in the third round, you can get some really good football players that can help this team now. Nothing against Mason. I just don't know how backing up or being a third stringer, well, who knows where he's going to fall in the depth chart, helps us win now, unquote. What a series of shots that is. Wilbon, do you have any problem with the kind of teammate Roethlisberger seems to be?
What month are we in?
At the moment, I believe we're in early May.
When does the season start?
I believe it starts in September.
So we got months before they're even actual teammates. So I'm assessing
well, no, they're teammates
Ben Roethlisberger, what he told the radio station.
They're teammates now.
They're not.
You'll defend Ben Roethlisberger no matter what.
I'm saying that this is another one of these fake stories. It doesn't even matter. They haven't even shaken hands and met each other yet.
Well, they're not going to, apparently.
Well, they're going to. And my bet is that Ben Roethlisberger will be a fine teammate when it's time to be that.
Really?
That's my bet. How about yours?
No, I think Ben Roethlisberger will be just like Brett Favre was to Aaron Rodgers, and he will just, say hello, and that'll be it. And you won't help him because that guy, in Ben Roethlisberger's mind, and justifiably, is there to take his job. Now, why did this situation start? It started because Ben Roethlisberger, for the last 3 years at least, would say at the end of the year, I'm thinking about retiring. And he's a great quarterback. He's probably a Hall of Fame quarterback.
No, not probably. He's a Hall of Famer.
Pittsburgh had to finally protect itself because what if he did retire?
Well,
so Ben brought on that they draft a quarterback.
Anything on. It was probably time to draft a quarterback. And I don't think that Ben Roethlisberger, when you actually need to be a teammate, not May 8th or whatever the hell this is, this is ridiculous. It's like doing your fantasy draft today and getting caught up in that. So he's not going to be Joe Montana to Steve Young. I don't believe Ben will do that.
Or Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, right? So when he says things like, I don't know, maybe he'll be a third stringer. Like, you don't think these are shots?
It's fun.
It's
May.
It's
May.
You know what's great about you?
What?
People you like, everything they do is fun.
It's May.
And people you don't like, that was bad.
Yeah, that's why you have a TV.
Let's take a break. Coming up, the Warriors and Rockets are one win away from their long-awaited matchup. But who's playing better now?
That's easy to tell. The Stan Van Gundy era in Detroit has come to an end. You're going to remember it how?
Like William Faulkner said, full of sound and fury and signifying nothing.
What a shot.
Yeah.
That's a shot.
English major. That was a shot.
That's a shot.
I got
There's
guts.
no need. Yeah. What kind of teammate?
The work, but our producers get paid for it. Let me get the first one.
What is that? Producers getting paid for reader work, viewer
Who's
work?
looking better, the Warriors or the Rockets?
This is not close. The Warriors. I mean, early in the playoffs, in the first 2 or 3 games of the playoffs, Mike D'Antoni was sending out these not even veiled challenges to his own team through the media and whatever means. And no, I mean, I know that Golden State has lost a game, lost a game in each series, lost a game in New Orleans. But New Orleans is a better team than Utah. And I'm going to say Golden State is playing better right now than Houston.
I love the notion that they play what they are calling the Hamptons 5. That's a starting team. Well, it's a team out there of the 4 guys who are really good and Andre Iguodala. And they're called that because those 4 guys went to the Hamptons to recruit Kevin Durant. My sense of this is pretty much always the same until proven wrong. That if you stop James Harden, you have a chance of stopping Houston. And there's no one guy on Golden State that you can stop and automatically say, we're going to win this deal.
Well, Harden shot 1 for 7 on threes last night, and there's still Chris Paul is playing like an MVP in these playoffs, Tony.
Those are 2 guys. The other team has 4 guys.
There's a center who I know you're not paying attention to on the Houston Rockets, Mr. Capella.
I think his nickname is
That's you.
Capella.
Are the Pistons justified in walking away from Stan Van Gundy?
Are they justified? Sure, they're justified. He coached there for 4 years. He had 1 winning season. He went to 1 round in the playoffs, and he didn't win any of the games. Now, can you say it's not his fault because it's a bad team? You can say that, but he was the GM. He put those people on the court so that, he had the ability to buy the groceries. So if you want to get rid of him, you can. My problem with the Pistons is this. They're getting closer and closer to New York Knick land.
They are.
Right? Because their next coach will be their 8th head coach since 2007 or something. I'm like, some really contracted period of time, too many head coaches.
Yeah, Tony, I mean, you're justified when you don't
2004 in my
I would like to have seen Stan Van Gundy be the coach and not the GM. Apparently, if you believe reports, there were some discussions to that effect.
And he didn't want to do it.
It's just too hard to coach. To be coach and GM, this doesn't work anywhere. Don't tell you Greg Popovich is that, because Greg Popovich will tell you that somebody else went out and scouted Kawhi Leonard and did all those sorts of things. So you can let go of Van Gundy, but what's your solution? What's Detroit going to do next?
I don't know what they're going to do.
Stan Van Gundy can coach.
But Stan Van Gundy is going to end up on the Levitard show because that's what he does.
Okay.
Are you crediting Pedro Florimon, I hope I pronounced that correctly, or blaming Trey Turner for this out?
Tony, you want to set this up. You watch every one of these games.
Trey Turner has singled to lead off the inning. He's stealing automatically. Ball goes up in the air. Trey Turner apparently doesn't see it or hear it because he slides head first in the second
and the infielder is holding him on. You know how you can't leave the bag now? Infielders hold the tag on you because if you come off the bag. So,
but it's a fake tag.
Fake tag because the ball's in the air. This happens all the time. I'm sorry. First base coach, third base coach.
Time?
Ball goes in the air and you're sliding if you're stealing second or hit and run. Somebody's got to scream to you.
Right.
Get back. Stay on the bag, whatever the case may be. Where's the communication from the people paid to coach? Why do you have first and third base coaches out there?
The Philadelphia Phillies stole that play. The guy made a great play.
Sure.
He held the phantom tag
but
the whole time.
was there a bad play to be credited to Washington?
Here's what happened yesterday. The Nats won late because Hector Neris couldn't find the plate or the first baseman's glove when he threw over there. Nats steal it, makes up for it.
What did Scherzer do?
Scherzer, 15 Ks out of 19 possible outs. Yeah. How's that?
We saw about 12 of those. And you know what? Strikeouts don't matter anymore. Because
they do with Scherzer.
Out.
Scherzer's the best.
He's not the only one striking them out.
Bulldog, baby.
Didn't Verlander just strike out like 14 a couple of nights earlier? Everybody strikes out.
Yeah, but Verlander doesn't pitch for the Nats. Although he should. He's good.
Got a World Series ring. Bigger story from the weekend, Jason Day's win or Tiger Woods' struggles?
We've talked about Tiger Woods so much. I'm going to back away from Tiger Woods.
Oh, my God.
Because I know that Tiger had a bad Sunday that he was +3, but he had a good Saturday when he was -3. The important story here is that Jason Day on the 17th hole, a 230-yard par 3, Jason Day hits the stick. Watch this. It hits the stick. Okay, and you say, okay, well, pros are great, and they can hit the stick every once in a while. He did it with a 7-iron. He went 230 with a 7-iron. I'm old. I hit a 7-iron 130, but good players hit a 7-iron 160, 170. He just hit it 230. That's the story.
The answer to the question is Jason Day. Tiger Woods' struggles are not a story. Jason Day winning.
Thank you for that confirmation.
Back on track. Now,
thank you.
Do you know there's something out there, the Callaway Rogue Irons?
I know the Callaway Rogue
It's
driver.
a 7-iron challenge to see how far these clubs go so far.
Do you have them?
Yes, I do.
And you hitting them?
I'm hitting.
How far are you hitting?
A 7-iron, close to 160. 160.
Okay. He hit it 230.
Tony,
do the math.
Like club pros, all these guys are hitting them 215, 220, 230.
Are you looking for a free set of irons for both of us? Let's take a break. Coming up,
I already got
we finally talk about the biggest moment of the weekend, Justify's win in the slop at the Derby.
When was the last time you paid for clubs? The NHL playoffs lose their #1 liquor, Brad Marchand.
I bought Michael a set of Mizuno's 3 years ago.
For you.
I don't do that anymore.
You don't buy clubs. You just get them.
Yes.
You need to get these Callaway Rogue X's. Baby.
Send us a box of that.
Yeah, 2 boxes.
Send us. Happy time. People, happy 33rd birthday yesterday to Chris Paul. After 13 seasons and 9 All-Star games, Chris Paul is finally poised to get to a conference final, a shortcoming of which he is very well aware. In Game 4 yesterday, Paul had 27 points and 12 rebounds.
Great.
The combination of Paul and James Harden has resulted in one of the best, most watchable teams in the league. Curiously, that's the exact kind of team they're going to play next.
It's about time you've come around on my man Chris Paul after all these years.
I was nice.
What made you come around?
A very famous person I played golf with said I was too hard on him. No, zero chance it was you. Happy anniversary, Michael Jordan. On this day 29 years ago, you hit an 18-footer over Craig Elo, now known as the shot at the buzzer to advance the Bulls past the Cavs in Cleveland. Well, to me, the Jordan hierarchy of shots includes this one, the push-off on Brian Russell, and the side-to-side layup against the Lakers. Any other shot come to mind for you?
A dunk in the Garden. Oakley twice he took. Starks. Boom. Flushed it over Patrick Ewing. By the way, Elo was in the building when LeBron beat Indiana
Good for Elo. I'm sure it was
that shot. That LeBron
happy
shot.
trails to Brad Marchand and the Boston Bruins. The Bruins and habitual face licker Marchand were eliminated by the Lightning.
And why is this
On the one hand, it's good for the health of America that Marchand is off the ice and cannot get his saliva on any more players. On the other hand, we could have a Final Four in the NHL of such traditional hockey towns as Las Vegas, Nashville, Tampa Bay, and Washington. Well, no original 6 teams left in the playoffs.
I know, Tony, and that concerns me because the Blackhawks aren't in there. But the league should have kicked Marchand out.
You don't like that?
There's a place for that, really? Get him out.
Where's the place for that?
Get him out.
Tell me the place for that. Wilbon is forcing us to show this clip from Friday's show. Go ahead, roll it.
That's right, roll it.
Last one, Albert Pujols is 1 hit away from 3,000. Do you think he'll get it tonight against the Mariners?
Yes. Bloop hit to right, broken bat in his 3rd at bat.
Let's see it. Let's see it. Oh,
flare to right. 3rd at bat, flare to right.
Yeah, but was it? I didn't see the bat break.
Oh, they took the bat away to Cooperstown.
It seems to me the bat it's a whole bat.
Don't try to split hairs.
That's
you didn't get that right.
I certainly can't split hairs, and neither can you. But I'm telling you that it's not fully predicted.
Great.
Let's go to the big finish.
Let's do it.
The Dodgers put Clayton Kershaw on the 10-day DL with biceps tendonitis. Is that cause for concern?
I mean, you can treat tendonitis. It wouldn't seem to be a major concern to me. Justify won the Kentucky Derby, whatever that is. Why is that a big deal?
It's a big deal because the trainer, Bob Baffert, had a perfect strategy. The jockey, Mike Smith, had a perfect trip. That horse was dry. That horse had no mud on it.
There
That
was nobody
great.
in front of it.
Cardinals catcher, yeah, that was the smart thing. Cardinals catcher Yadier Molina out for a month after taking a foul tip to the groin and needing surgery. That's a big loss.
It could have been a bigger loss, and I mean much bigger, more serious than that suggests. Yankees have won 15-16. They're the best team in baseball.
They might be right now by an edge over the Red Sox, but those teams start a series, and so we'll see. The Red Sox were the best team. The Yankees might be right now. Last one, Becky Hammon interviewing for the Bucks opening. Your thoughts?
I love the fact that the Bucks are talking to her because she has earned that. And I hope she gets a job, whether it's in Milwaukee or somewhere else.
Do you think she will?
Yes, I think she will.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. And I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. You can get the PTI podcast on the ESPN app or Apple Podcasts.
Brett James, shout out. You know who he is?
What'd you get for nothing?
He's a country music songwriter.
You're not a country music guy?
I am now.
Miles hustling up the court to Anunoby. Up fake, the rookie for three. Got it! Down the bottom of the well. The rookie ties the game at 103.
And now with 8 seconds remaining, this tie at 103 is the first all night long. Cavs are going to elect to go the length of the floor here.
They're looking for LeBron. They get it to him in the corner.
6 seconds to go. Here comes LeBron. We're tied at 103. LeBron into the forecourt. In on Anunoby. Gets shoved toward the side.
Throws up the floater. Cleveland! That is for you!
Oh, he did it again! LeBron James tips it high off the window and drops it through!
This place is going bananas.
The LeBron James legend continues!
LeBron, take us through that last shot.
We had no more timeouts. I had to get open. Took a full court. I was able to hit a floater off the glass. And it's my job on the court to close it. You know, we protect at home, and that's what we want to continue to do. So hopefully we can protect home one more time, man, and on Monday. So, all right, G's. See what happens.
It is Monday, and tip-off is just hours away. NBA insider Brian Windhorst courtside for Game 4 at the Land. And LeBron 12-1 in his last 13 closeout games, including 2-0 against the Raptors. So what are the expectations on him closing this series out at home tonight?
I'll tell you expectations. He walked into the arena tonight wearing a hat that said, "Don't trip." And that's what I think he would like the message to be to his teammates. They obviously want to close out the game, but they really want the rest. The earliest the Eastern Conference Finals could start would be on Sunday. That would give the Cavs 5 or 6 days, depending on what they do with practice, to get ready for that series. And obviously, after playing a grueling first-round series in which they played 7 games, Kevin, they could really use a few days off. Here's their chance to take care of business and earn themselves that.
All right, let's go to the other side here. Facing a sweep after being a 1 seed, what's at stake tonight for the Raptors?
Yeah, so, they obviously are facing some serious changes with their team if they are not able to make a massive rally to win this series. You could see some changes, obviously, to the roster, but specifically to Coach Dwayne Casey. Last year, he was facing some scrutiny after getting swept. They made some decisions to change their strategy, and Dwayne Casey thought he had done it. And if they go to sweep again, he could face possibly losing his job. What I think is going to be interesting to see, especially after he benched DeMar DeRozan going down the stretch in Game 3, is whether the Raptors come out and fight for him tonight. I would expect them to. I would expect DeMar DeRozan to lead that charge as well.
What an amazing turnaround in a week when we talk about the narrative of this playoff series coming in. Brian Windhorst with us. Now take a look at what the Raptors are facing tonight. This has never been done before. Toronto hoping to avoid becoming the first 1 seed under the current playoff format to get swept. Prior to the conference finals, only 3 1 seeds have been swept before the NBA Finals. Last time it happened, 2015, when LeBron James and the Cavaliers swept the top-seeded Hawks.
Been around the world, nothing ever felt the same. Losing sight of where I'm from, nothing else to gain. Coming home to where I first made myself a name. Putting work in every verse until they felt the flame. Been around the world and back, kicked off games across the
Last Friday, just like Johnny Kemp, Matt Ryan got paid the 2016 NFL MVP, signing a 5-year extension that will pay him $100 million guaranteed and make him the first player to average $30 million a year. Today, Ryan spoke to the media and explained how he intends to earn every penny of his record-breaking deal.
I've always felt like your job as a player is to go earn every dollar. And have that mindset that every, day you wake up, it's about working as hard as you possibly can. So I guess it's more incentive for me moving forward to play my best football. There's great people here. We've had some really good teams, but I think, the best is in front of us. And that's what has me so excited about, my future here and our future as an organization is that we have a lot of really good pieces in place. And I'm going to do everything I can to try and help this city and this organization win a championship.
Now, Ryan is one of a handful of quarterbacks to make big money this offseason. If you remember in February, Jimmy Garoppolo passed Matthew Stafford to become the highest paid player in the NFL. That reign lasted 33 days until Kirk Cousins passed him. Now, less than 2 months later, Matt Ryan becomes the first player in NFL history to average $30 million a year, and Teddy Bruschi is mad he wasn't born later.
Oh, I'm mad I couldn't throw the football.
Well, let's talk about Matt Ryan here, Teddy, because you could argue in terms of the offensive weapons that he has, he may have the best arsenal in all of the entire NFL. Now you combine the fact that he's got this huge contract. How much impact will it have on the expectations for Matt Ryan to lead the Falcons to a Super Bowl win?
Well, I don't think Matt Ryan should put more expectations on himself just because he's got a big contract and now that he's got $100 million guaranteed to him. I think that Matt Ryan is a level-headed player. He knows he's been an MVP caliber MVP player before in the past. I think his best days are ahead of him. They just drafted Calvin Ridley, receiver out of Alabama. He's got plenty of weapons, but this just gives your quarterback peace of mind, knowing that there's nothing in the back of his head that he's worrying about. He's not worrying about contract. He's not worrying about any type of competition. He's just worrying about being your franchise quarterback and leading you to a championship. You don't want to mess with the mind of a quarterback. It's perfect right now. Contract, weapons, offense, second year with Sarkisian. Things are rolling right now. He should have a great year.
So offensively, everything is set. We'll see how the defense plays coming up in the fall. Let's talk a little broader aspect here in terms of quarterbacks, because Aaron Rodgers sitting out there, you think he's going to get paid when his deal comes up in time for an extension. But giving this much money to quarterbacks, we all know how valuable they are to each and every team, but what's your take on giving this much money to quarterbacks and how it relates to the rest of the team?
Mike, I've said this in the past. It's almost as if quarterbacks need their own little salary cap. Because they're just it's a different position. They're paid more. It's just so much different than all the other positional players. Their salaries are just getting too high. You can tell. Aaron Rodgers is the next. He will probably pass up Matt Ryan. So, because I say, what kind of sacrifices should Aaron Rodgers make just because, he wants to win football games? Matt Ryan didn't do it. I think these quarterbacks agents, they all know each other, and it's a point of if you're next, you just go higher and higher and higher. That's just the way it is. But it's got to come to a point where it's getting absurd, and they need to look at the quarterback position differently in terms of salary cap because it's almost taken about 20% of the cap up. It's getting to be that point. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, with a 53-man roster, how does that play off you paying that much money to one particular position, one particular player at a certain position? Teddy's coming back a little bit later. Speaking of quarterbacks, talk about why Big Ben is tripping on the rookie quarterback the Steelers drafted. That's coming up a little bit later. Thanks, Teddy. Sure.
Got some baseball coming your way. 17 days ago, the Yankees, a 500 club. Now they've won 5-16 ahead. Tim Kirchin on the Yankees' rise heading into their series against the Red Sox.
Detroit, as the team parted ways with the head coach and president of basketball operations on Monday. Van Gundy finished 24 games under 500 in Detroit, did not win a single playoff game. Remember, the Pistons made the big midseason trade for Blake Griffin, and they went 17-17 after that deal and missed the playoffs for the third time in 4 seasons under Van Gundy. Bringing our NBA insider, Aiden Wojnarowski now. And, Adrian, ultimately, why did it not work out between Van Gundy and the Pistons?
I think a couple of reasons, Michael. Number one, injuries this past season. This was a far better team with Reggie Jackson on the floor. They didn't have great depth at the point guard position. That probably kept them out of the playoffs. And two, they didn't draft really well under Stan Van Gundy there in different drafts. They missed on Donovan Mitchell. They missed on Devin Booker. And ultimately, that dual role of coach and team president, you're starting to see it dissipate in the NBA. You're going to see less and less of it as we go forward.
Well, you mentioned the roster, and we did talk about the Pistons missed the playoffs this past season. They got 3 big-time contracts that are still in the books. Blake Griffin, Andre Drummond, and Reggie Jackson, whom you mentioned. They will combine to make more than $74 million next season. Griffin still has 4 years and almost $142 million on the deal he signed with the Clippers last offseason. So, Woj, when you look to fill 2 spots now here in Detroit, president and head coach, where will this team look to?
They need experience in Detroit, and they're certainly going to separate the 2 jobs. Ideally, you'd like to hire your president of basketball operations, GM, before the coach, but this is a very competitive coaching market right now. There's multiple jobs open. Milwaukee is a very attractive job, more attractive than Detroit right now, and they may have their pick of candidates. David Fizdale's off the market, but this is a win-now roster in Detroit, and they're going to need an experienced general manager and likely an experienced coach to come in and try to massage the roster around those 3 players you just mentioned.
Yeah, a lot to get done. Head coach and president of basketball operations. A lot of work to be done there in Detroit. Adrian Wojnarowski will be all over it. Appreciate the perspective, man.
Thanks, Mike.
Well, as he mentioned, a very competitive job market right now for head coaches because there are 5 openings right now. The Pistons joining the Bucks, Hawks, Hornets, and Magic right now. Van Gundy was longest tenured Pistons coach, believe it or not, since Chuck Daly.
Yankees 15-1 in their last 16, their best stretch since 1980. During that span, they've averaged over 6 runs per game, most in all of baseball. They've hit .315 with runners in scoring position. The offense, we all know about it. The pitching has been even better. The rotation, how about 1.89 ERA during their stretch? Best in the majors. The bullpen has been lights out. The Yankees been at their best in close games. They've overcome 8th-inning deficits 4 times in that stretch during this run, including Sunday's victory over the Indians. Baseball insider Tim Kirchin joining us now on SportsCenter. Tim, what has stood out during this Yankees' current hot streak?
Well, Kevin, just about everything has gone right for this team, and it starts with the pitching that you were talking about. Sonny Gray's been really good his last 2 times out. CeCe Sabathia has been really good all year, and that bullpen is just spectacular. But what's really turned for them is the recall of Gleyber Torres from the minor leagues. They put him at second base where they had a hole, and they are 14-1 since he was recalled. He's slugging .500. Last night he became the youngest Yankee ever to hit a walk-off homer. And with Miguel Andujar at third base, and with Torres at second, they've solved 2 infield positions with 2 young guys going forward. And when Greg Bird gets back to that lineup, eventually they are not going to have anything close to an out in their lineup. And their pitching is really good, too.
It's pretty amazing because at the start of the season, we're talking about Stanton and Judge and Sanchez and Didi, and now you're seeing a bunch of the other guys step up. And the Yankees start a series with the Red Sox tomorrow at home. Now, let's stay in the AL East. The Orioles may have a big decision to make on Manny Machado, a lot quicker than they thought. The shortstop can test the free agent market next season, currently making $16 million this season, but his team is 8-26, tied with the Reds for the worst record in baseball. All right, the trade deadline, Tim, is July 31st. What's the market like right now for this 25-year-old superstar?
Well, it's a little bit tricky, Kevin, because anyone would want Manny Machado, but the problem is for any team that does want him, you're going to have to give up 3 good young players to get him. And he's a free agent at the end of the year. So the team that acquires him is going to have to say, we have to be able to sign him long term. We can't just give up 3 guys for him for a short rental here, and not too many teams are going to be able to afford him long term. So the Dodgers certainly are a team that makes some sense, but at this point, I don't see them jumping in and replacing Corey Seager with Manny Machado. I think the bottom line is eventually Manny Machado is going to get dealt because the Orioles are just not going to be strong enough in the market to re-sign him, but they can wait. Even with a terrible record, they can wait a little bit longer until they get exactly what they need, and then they'll move him, and he will be a difference maker wherever he goes.
Yeah, they'll wait and see, of course, in July when teams start to get desperate to make a move and they jockey that roster. Machado currently in the top 10 in the American League in hits, average, homers, and RBI. Tim Kirkchin with us on SportsCenter, reminding you as the Yankees get set for the Red Sox tomorrow. We got them for you Wednesday night, 7 p.m. prime time. Yankees hosting the Red Sox on ESPN, also streaming live on the ESPN app. Michael?
All right, back to the NBA now. And May 7th has provided plenty of memorable moments for the league. Let's go back to 1989. That was the date that Craig Elo became the answer to a trivia question. Who did Michael Jordan hit that buzzer beater over to win that series against the Cavs? It was, of course, Craig Elo. Fast forward 5 more years, the Nuggets. They became the first number 8 seed to defeat a number 1 seed under the 16-team playoff format. And of course, everyone remembers the shot of Dikembe Mutombo clutching the ball on the floor as the Nuggets beat the Sonics on the road. 1995, one of the most shocking comebacks in NBA history. Reggie Miller scored 8 points in less than 9 seconds to lead the Pacers to Game 1 win over the Knicks in the conference semis. And in 2002, Allen Iverson. You know what we're talking about.
What we talking about? Practice, man. What are we talking about? Practice? We're talking about practice, man. We're talking about practice. We're talking about practice. We ain't talking about the game. We're talking about practice, man.
Not a game. Not a game. Practice.
I love Allen.
Of course you do. Silly guy. I know you do, right?
It's been 16 years, and I still can't believe that happened. And I talked to some guys that were in the room afterwards. They couldn't believe how it all played out. It was just basically him and Larry Brown butting heads because they were so identical. And Al was dealing with a lot of things emotionally. But let me tell you, when he played and he actually showed up on the court, you forgot about practice.
Don't worry about practice. But it's amazing the things that happened on that day going back through NBA history. Started with Michael Jordan in 1989. Wow. Plenty more SportsCenter to come right now, and this is what we call a mid-show tease in TV lingo.
Still to come in the next hour of SportsCenter. More on the ties that bind LeBron's Game 3 buzzer beater and Michael Jordan's series winner from yesteryear. Also, Teddy Bruschi is back to break down Big Ben's beef with the Steelers after they drafted Mason Rudolph. Plus, after the Ravens selected Lamar Jackson, is Joe Flacco now in the hot seat in Baltimore? And we'll ask Barry Melrose if tonight's the night that Alex Ovechkin and the Caps finally overcome Sidney Crosby and the Penguins. SportsCenter continues next.